Welcome back to another episode of Paul's Pod. Today we are joined by my very, very good friend, Mr. Charles Joyner. Charles, obviously you were on the podcast at the beginning of the year. Oh no, wait, I think it was the end of last year, was it?
I reckon it was a year ago.
It's not too far from a year. How are you?
I'm good. Feel like a lot's happened since then, hasn't it? But
A lot has happened.
yeah, I'm good. I'm just had a pretty lazy Sunday. Just been playing some FIFA and stuff like that, and then
What you play? I would have never pictured you playing FIFA. Have you got an Xbox?
PS5, but
PS5 as well.
Rare commodity. But I'm fighting for world titles now, mate. You got to, it's the gold standard. But I've always played FIFA. To be fair, like I think the first FIFA I had was FIFA 03.
Fucking OG then. FIFA football.
Yeah. Well, Arsenal are doing well as well.
Oh mate, yeah, I know Arsenal. They just had a good game today. Man United played fucking shite. Just lost to Villa 3-1. Yeah, I bet you're happy as an Arsenal fan. They've turned it around. You're actually title contenders this season.
But I feel like I don't know. I feel like I'm not into it enough where I'm not gonna start like pushing that I'm an Arsenal fan because I'd never say about it. And if I start saying it now when they're winning, you know what I mean? It's a bit. But yeah, no, it's good. I feel like with sport now, I like following individual stories more anyway, and seeing because it's an individual sport that we're in, really, isn't it? So I don't know. I resonate more with the individual stories rather than just like supporting a team loyally. But yeah.
Well, we are 3 weeks away from your world title fight in Rome. It's technically a rematch. So should we just start from what happened for the first time it was scheduled to fight? So you're scheduled to fight in this back garden, Rome, had the weigh-ins outside the Colosseum, looked all ready to go, and then literally a few hours before the card had even started, he pulled out.
Yeah. I mean, so I mean, I'll start a bit before. I'll probably start. I mean, since I last came on in, let's call it November last year. I mean, I was struggling to get fights then, and then I had one up in Newcastle in February, which was good performance. Got my name on the map a bit more, and then I was just going everywhere trying to get. Well, not going everywhere. I was messaging different shows and calling people out trying to get a fight. In March, I ended up getting a match with a lad called Jacob Doman, who I knew he was good. I knew he had a good record. I knew he was undefeated. But I sort of found out after the fight that he was 47-0 if you combine his amateur and professional record. But you were there for that fight. It was a war, and it's probably my favourite fight so far because it was just I don't know. I mean, I think if you listen to the commentary, they were making it out like I was getting absolutely smashed. But obviously, during the fight, I was aware that I was having to dig deep. But I definitely felt confident the whole time, and I was basically just came out really hard in the first round. I weathered the storm, and I just broke him down. And by the fourth round, finished him. And it was I think you were the first person to greet me outside the ring. You were just there.
I did run down straight away as soon as the fight ended, mate. If you actually go back on the fight, all you can hear is me shouting and calling him a cunt and saying he's tired. He's tired.
I reckon that
was a good show, though.
Yeah, that like a good level of fights on there, I think. But then, yeah, so that was obviously good. And I think that, like, especially on the UK scene, it really put my name on the map because he was someone that people were scared to fight. And then I just sort of fought him on 2 weeks' notice. I was like, oh yeah, let's go. And then finished him. And when he'd probably never lost he'd looked unbeatable before then. And he is a bit of a specimen, like athlete and he hits hard and
He's a big guy.
But he's like an athletic 100 kilos that moves well and hits hard. So yeah, that was good. And then I got
and that fight. Before you jump in, sorry, yeah, that fight put you on the map, like you said, in the UK. It put you in the top 4 of 4 weight categories in kickboxing in the UK, didn't it?
yeah,
85 kilo, 90 kilo, 95 kilo, and then heavyweight.
Yeah, because it was at 100, but like I was sort of, I mean, I hadn't fought with those other weights, so I think because they know that I fight at 85, they were just like, oh yeah, well I don't know, they chucked me in there. So, I mean, they're all just rankings, aren't they? Like it only really goes off who you've actually beaten. But yeah, and then I got a message from the head of ISCA, which is the governing body for this world title, and they offering me to fight Mattia Ferroni in Italy. What was it? 17th of June or something like that. I think it was the 17th of June. And then obviously I looked him up, and I don't know. I'd never heard of him before, but he's like when I first
He's got a
searched
lot
him
of
on
support in
YouTube.
Italy.
Yeah, like some of his fights on YouTube have like millions of views. So when I first looked him up, I was like, "Who is this guy?" And yeah, I don't know. I think they just really get behind their fighters in Italy.
Is he undefeated too? I think he is, isn't he?
No, I think he's like 26-4 or something like that.
26-4.
So he's been around for a while.
And what was it like when you got that call that you were going to get like your first world title on the ISCA stage? The stakes being in Rome, being televised on DAZN. Like, how did you feel when you found out that you were going to get probably the biggest fight of your career so far?
I was excited. Obviously it wasn't a shock or anything like that, because I just, I knew that stuff like this was going to happen, and then I also just see it as a stepping stone, because I know there's going to be, much bigger things later on. Anyway, but obviously I was excited, and I was like, it was a different type of challenge. Someone that's, fair. Like there's going to be a lot more eyes on this fight than there had been. That was like I think the platform is what I was excited for, and then he's like a tricky fighter, and he's got a bit flashy. So I was excited for that challenge. But yeah.
And okay, so it's fight week. Everything's going smooth. Like I said, the photos outside the Coliseum were brilliant. The weigh-in, the coverage, and you wake up and you've woken up thinking today's fight day. And then, did he ever disclose why he pulled out?
No, so so when I weighed in, the fight was at 88.5. I made that weight pretty easily, and then we were driven from the hotel. So obviously I cut the weight at the hotel, then we were driven about an hour to the weigh-in destination, the weigh-in location, and we did like the official weigh-in in this little gym, and he was a bit late getting there, and then it was like middle of summer as well, and he came in, and like he looked a bit drained, he looked a bit sweaty, but like he's way smaller than me, so, and he's
There's
not
a big
like
difference.
and he's not massive, so like it's not like he's shorter, and he's not like necessarily built or anything like that. So to me, it should have been no problem making the weight. But I think it must have been like a bit of a tough weight cut, because supposedly what happened was, like, after we did the ceremonial weigh-in at the front of the Coliseum that night, he went home and didn't feel very well, and then he went to a doctor, and then the doctor said that he couldn't fight because they thought that he had a problem with his heart. And
See, how much do you buy into all of that? Because I know that you're very respectful when you come to all this sort of stuff, but to a lot of maybe neutral fight fans, a lot of people could say, "Oh well, he kind of just squared you up a little bit, had a bit of a rough weight cut, saw how fucking big you were, and kind of shit it a little bit."
I mean, it's a weird one, because obviously, like, because he was posting all things in the hospital, you know, afterwards and getting all checks done on his heart and stuff like that. And they've obviously cleared him to fight for this one. Like my thought was, a couple of thoughts I've had about it was in terms of the weight. I think he's probably just not very disciplined and not very professional during his camp, and then let the weight get out of hand and made it a hard weight cut. Because there's no reason why I can make that weight easily and he's struggling. You know, like there's, you know, I could. There's just that doesn't make any sense. And then in terms of, you know, he still
that's kind of
chose
like
to
the
go.
unwritten rule. Sorry, that's like the unwritten rule as well in fighting. Like the weight is like the one thing that should not ever be an issue.
Yeah, but you see it, don't you? Like you see people who they've been not disciplined during camp, and then it gets out of hand. But you can never have any sympathy for. Like if you've had a bad weight cut, you can't really have any sympathy for anyone because it's like you've done that to yourself. So that was my thought on that. So I thought, okay, well, if you've had to do something drastic to make the weight, that's on you, really. I was here, like I was professional. I was ready to go. The other thing was, you know, he chose to go to the doctor after, you know, that night. So either he was feeling like absolutely awful to the point where he's like, no, like I need to go and get medical assistance. Like I need to go and get medical help. So that's one element. The other element is that if you're going to the doctor after a weight cut, you know, after a weigh-in and saying that you're feeling bad, you know that doctor is going to tell you that you're not going to be able to compete the next day in a fight. Like, you know,
almost like kind of looking for an excuse.
Like there's definitely a perspective that that's like what you've done. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like, I don't know, if you're not too keen on, it's like whoever you go for advice for or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, if you're coming to me for advice, you realistically, you know what I'm going to tell you to do with a situation. But you're just coming to me for that advice because you just want like the reassurance that's the right thing to do. If you didn't want to do that thing, what I was going to tell you to do, you wouldn't come to me for advice, and you'd go to someone else for advice who would tell you what you want to hear. Do you know what I mean? Like that's how I think of it when I think of that. So, I mean, but then, like, I wouldn't want him to step into the ring if he'd done something that was going to really damage his health. Like, there's no way I'd want him to fight. And I think it probably was genuine because he was getting all the health checks afterwards, and they've cleared him to fight. Like, I'm sure he did feel really unwell after the weight cut, especially if he's done something drastic to make the weight. But equally, I think he's probably brought that on himself. Like, no one's forced him to make that weight. No one's forced him to like, if they'd offered me the fight at 95 kilos, I'd have been like, yeah, fine. I think they wanted to make it at 88.5 kilos because they thought that would be really depleting and draining me, because in the UK I've only fought at 100 kilos. But little did they know I can make that weight easy. And then it ended up it backfired on them a little bit, I think.
Do you think, like, aside from all the elements and all that sort of stuff, do you think that was kind of a bit of a mental victory for you? Maybe not even necessarily for him directly, but more so for the team.
Yeah, like I definitely think. I mean, that was probably the narrative that everyone else was saying was probably, oh, he's bottled it. Like, that's all I've really heard since after the fight. It's like, oh, well, he bottled it, didn't he? Because I think people know. But fair play to them. They've offered me the fight again at 95 kilos. So it could have been very easy for them to go, especially after my last fight in Boston. It could have been very easy for them to go, no, we're going to get someone else in because he's lost that fight. He's got knocked out now. So, but fair play, like they've offered it to me. But I definitely think I'm definitely feeling a different energy now. Whereas, you know, before it was, I think he was just sort of like, you know, taking it a bit relaxed and just thinking, oh, this will be a bit of a walk in the park, and they've got this guy in they've got this guy in. You know, this is just like
a sacrificial limb.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just their party, you know, it's just the world title, bringing the world title to Rome. And now it's like, oh no, this is a serious challenge. Because you know, beforehand I was receiving lots of messages off his Italian fans, you know, saying, "Oh, you're going to lose," and I'm still getting some now. But I don't think the confidence is as high with any of them now. So yeah,
So,
I definitely think the tide's turned a bit.
so he pulls out, fight doesn't happen. You then, I think, your next fight is a testament to the type of person you are in terms of taking challenges and really pushing yourself to the limit and taking risks that no one else is really willing to take. So you take a fight in Boston on short notice for a Muay Thai world title fight. Bear in mind you've never fought Muay Thai before.
Mm.
What was running through your head when that fight got booked?
It's like so it's online fight, so like another good show, another good platform, and again, someone, you know, this guy was undefeated, um, bit of a knockout artist, got a few flashy knockouts, but it's like with anything, I'm just looking at it at how I can use it to level myself up, you know, in terms of my ability, in terms of getting more experience, in terms of taking these challenges. Like that's what I'm here to do. Like I'm not here to stack everything in my favor. I'd rather stack it all against me and then overcome it, because you know what great story, you know, like say for like what's a better story, for example, like say this guy that I'm fighting now, well it's in his hometown, and he's tried to get someone to deplete themselves with a weight cut, and he's tried to get everything in his favor, and then he's won that world title. It's like, okay, yeah, fair play, you won the world title, but you've done it in a way that's like stacking it all in your favor. So you know you're supposed to win. But it's a much better story when someone just keeps overcoming the odds and they're not expected to win, and they do something where people are like, oh, did you see that? Did you see what that guy did? He went over there, everything was against him, and he didn't care, and he believed in himself, and he won. So that's what I sort of think when those things get presented to me, because that's what we're here for. You know, we're here to just have something to look back on and be like, oh yeah, that's what I did. Like those are the memories. Those are the memories you want to create.
It's the legacy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the legacy
Legacy.
you want to leave behind.
Definitely.
So the fight didn't go your way. What's it like to get knocked out? That's like just a straight up question. How did you take the knockout? Like how did it affect you? Because you seem like you're taking it really well.
As I mean, like on this, like I don't know, it's like on the deepest, like, I've had different thoughts about it. I feel like I've taken it well the whole time, and it's not negatively affecting me at all. And I think maybe that's only because I just turn everything into a positive anyway, and I turn everything into a lesson. So um, I think like on the deepest level, and I'll touch on that briefly, it's like I feel like I've experienced death in a way, because it was literally just like, I mean, that I imagine that's what death would be like. It was just like gone. Do you know what I mean? And then obviously I came back, but it was like, because all I remember, like I remember every single thing up until the knockout, and all I remember is like fighting really well, feeling so relaxed in there, felt like I was absolutely taking him to school, and then suddenly I'm in the back, and I'm like, and it's like waking up from like a sleep, and like it was a bit hazy at first, and I was just looking around, and I'm like, where am I? And then I can see like Jack Grant was with me, like our good friend Jack. He came over to Boston, and he's in my corner. Did a great job in the corner. But when I came to from the knockout, I just remember seeing him there, and I couldn't. It's like I didn't fully know who he was, but like I knew that it was someone that I knew, so that was like comforting. And then everyone around me was speaking in American accents, and I was like, "Am I in America? Oh, where am I? This is so weird." And then I couldn't really. And then that probably lasted for about 10 seconds, and then like it was just like every second more and more was coming back to me. I was like, "Oh shit!" And then and then I remember saying to Jack, "Oh, what happened?" And he's like, "Oh, you got knocked out back, bro." And I was like, "Oh, fuck's sake." Because I remembered that I was doing so well. I just remember like that I was schooling him. I was like, "Oh, fuck." But Jack had said that I'd already asked him that about 8 times. So I'd been awake, I was probably asleep in the ring for about a minute to 2 minutes. And then I came to, like, I walked out of the ring. I went out the back somewhere. I was in like the medical room, and I must have been sat in there for about 10 minutes before like my brain started recording memory again. Do you know what I mean? So it's like having amnesia, really. That's what I imagine that's what the feeling would be like. But
I
yeah, and
bet that
then
was
like
trippy.
it was, but then it was like I was like, oh shit, that wasn't that bad. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I don't remember getting hit by the shot. Um, like my brain was a bit foggy for about 10 minutes, and then I was like completely fine. I got taken to the hospital, and they were like, they did a CT scan, and I mean, you can't really, like, they didn't see any damage to like any bones or anything, and then they did a few like um, cognitive tests and concussion tests, and they said that I was fine. So they gave me the all clear to fly home the next day. And I was just sat there, and I was just like, I was just disappointed because I knew I was doing so well. But I was like, oh, I could have won that world title in a Muay Thai fight against, you know, an undefeated world champion. There's someone else that people were scared to fight. I felt like I was way better than him, and I think watching it back, I just got complacent, let my guard down, and then he took the opportunity. So fair play.
How much of a stress, if you even would call that, was taken off your shoulders after you had your first loss? Did you ever feel as though I mean, I know you personally, you were never really hanging on to that undefeated like it was like the be all and end all. But
Mm.
did it relieve any stress at all? Or
Yeah, I think like probably subconsciously I was hanging on to that undefeated thing because I don't know. It's like obviously I look at myself as a very confident person, but then maybe that confidence, like I wasn't sure whether that confidence came from, you know, my actual abilities or just the fact that I'd never lost, and then how people responded to me being an undefeated fighter. And then once I did lose and I lost in like a brutal way, I was still the exact same confidence level, if not more confident. So it made me realize that my confidence just comes from something inside me and just faith in my abilities. And not just faith in my ability, but faith in my ability to, you know, improve and become better. And yeah, because yeah, so I think it took a pressure off where it was like, well, that's pretty much the worst thing that can happen. So, and it wasn't really that bad. And if I did happen to die in there, you know, that's probably exactly what it's going to be like. So it's not really that bad. You won't even know it's happened. So it definitely takes some pressure off.
I feel like again, it's just a testament to who you are, bro, because not a lot of people can take a loss like that, especially a knockout. You see loads of fighters, they crumble, they lose their confidence, again, a lot of fighters probably would then sit back and be like, oh, do you know what, let's just play it safe for a little bit. Let's just, just work it back up. But you're just the complete opposite. You're back into the fire, you're back challenging yourself, and you've rebooked the fight with Matteo Ferroni in Rome again.
Yeah.
How much do you think the fight changes being at 95 kilos compared to 88 and a half?
Probably just plays. I mean, any advantage really is gonna be there for the both of us because we're both not cutting weight. I mean, probably who knows, he might have a bad weight cut again because he might have been even less disciplined in this fight. But I don't know. It doesn't really change.
Do you think that there's an element of, okay, they wanted the rematch because of the circumstances last time, but do you feel as though there might be an element of they think that they've got you this time just because of your last performance?
Oh, I'm sure that's given him confidence. And I'm sure, if I'd gone out there and like how I see that fight with Steve Walker in Boston, I think if I just stayed a bit more disciplined and a bit more switched on, I think I'm finishing him in the third or fourth round because all my little strikes were adding up. And I could see him breaking a little, not breaking, but I could definitely see the holes opening. So am I getting the offer for the fight if I've gone in there and knocked out Steve Walker? I don't know but I got knocked out, and so I definitely think that chink in the armor will give them confidence. But I don't know, for them they're looking at it from how their mindset would be, because they definitely don't have my mindset, where my mindset is like, I know that makes me stronger, and all I've done is go back to the gym and improve, and is sharpen my focus, and I've just improved massively because of it. So if they think it's weakened me in any way, then they're just gonna have a shock on fight night, I think.
And going into this fight again, what's been the difference in your approach compared to the first time it was scheduled compared to now?
Difference in approach.
Do you feel like it's helped that you've had a bit longer maybe to study him a little bit, or do you not think it's made a difference at all?
I mean, probably hasn't made. I mean, my approach to like every fight camp is really just add tools to the arsenal. I've got a few things that I'm going to use against him that I've been working on, but they're tools that I would add against any opponent, and just emphasizing my advantages. I think for this fight camp, I've just brought the focus maybe a bit back onto myself and just try to recenter myself a little bit more. I was doing a lot of traveling for the last few fight camps. This one I've just stayed put, focused on rest. I think like sometimes I think I was probably training, I feel like, well, from the fight until I started this camp and started sort of zoning in for this camp. So from when I got knocked out till say maybe about 4 weeks ago, I was really focusing on MMA. I was doing lots of wrestling, lots of grappling. So I feel like I was actually training harder then. But now I feel like for this fight camp, I've just been, focusing a bit more on getting like quality sparring in, focused on, specific, like I have been focusing on a specific game plan a little bit for this guy and for this fight. And then being like prioritizing rest and recovery, and just doing what I feel like I need to do, because I feel like I know myself better than anyone, and I know how to, I've been fighting for like 6 years now, and I feel like I've got a pretty good understanding of how I work and how I improve the best. So yeah, that's probably the only really real change.
You've been at TFT for a while now. This is probably your first official fight for TFT, or under TFT, if you like. Like you touched up on that just before, how previously you've been not all over the place, but like you've trained in a few different places, and maybe not had that settled, consistent coaching where you've been in the same place, just not really moving. How much of an impact has that had on you? I know you kind of just touched up on it, but being at TFT compared to how it was in Liverpool, What's been the biggest difference?
So obviously, like, enjoyed my time in Liverpool when I was going down there for the past 2 camps as well, and like had great camps and great training with John. And I think like my time with John, it definitely isn't done. But I just sent him a message and said, I'm just going to stay up in the northeast for this camp, and I'll try and get down when I can. But I just want to like focus on being centered, because I moved up here. In
Been a while.
maybe April. I think it was April. Mainly to train with Justin Burleson, because I think he's just like the best training partner that I've had. And no offense to any of my other training partners, but I think Justin, just in terms of like, you know, our approach to training, like similar mindsets, similar goals, similar weight, and we just click when we train together. And I feel like we've just been bringing ourselves on so much, each other on so much, that I just needed to like maximize that time. And then I came up to TFT, and just for like the MMA coaching, I think Fisher's, you know, like the best that I've had. He's just the way he breaks things down and builds things up, and he just the way that he can like whittle down what's effective for MMA and what's needed for MMA. Like, I feel like I've come on so much. And then in terms of striking, you know, I've got great training partners in like Jamie Bates up here, who's really should be the glory champion, but they've just not given him his dues. And I think he should be on one championship really. And I think but he's just struggling to get the opportunities. But he's definitely one of the best in the world. And other people like Juan Cervantes, who is actually fighting on one championship against Cosmo Alexandra in 2 weeks, I think. So I mean, I've had great people to spar with. I don't know. I just like the Northeast as well. I feel like for the last 2 camps, I was going down to Liverpool, and it was just like getting great training down there, but just like in terms of like the traveling and the cost of it, it was just becoming a bit too much. So I just wanted to like recenter myself for this camp, and I feel like it's just allowed me to focus on building for the fight rather than focusing on like logistics of like getting down to Liverpool, then getting back up, and then oh god, I'm tired from, you know, the 4-hour train trip or whatever it may be. So that's been nice, not having to worry about all that traveling, and then just recentering myself. I feel like that's when I'm at my best. You know, like when we were in Liverpool and we were in the dorms and there was nothing else to do, like I wouldn't leave the gym for a week sometimes, and we just
Big cabin fever.
really.
Our daily trip was a walk down to the garage at the end of the road to get a protein bar.
Simple times. That was good, but like stuff like that, like I enjoy it when it's grounded like that, and there's just not much else to do, not much else to focus on but train.
And like being in the Northeast, it's a bit cold for an Aussie boy like you. Have you struggled to deal with the weather up there, or?
Yeah, well, everyone's like, well, okay, what was the dorms like? That was like freezing.
Yeah, the dorms were fucking cold. Oh my god.
But
no heating.
I reckon I handled it the best.
Yeah, it's because you used to take my heater when I wasn't there.
No,
the heater was essential.
I've got a little heater on. I've got like a similar little heater on now. But like every day in the gym at TFT, everyone's like, "Oh god, it's cold." I'm just like, "Oh, it's not that bad." I think it's because I lived in the dorms for 7 months and that was cold.
The dorms definitely built some thick skin.
Yeah, I'm fine. It does get dark early up here though. Like it's already getting dark like before 5.
Oh, it's horrible. That's just winter though, I think, in the UK. Does it rain as much? I feel like in Liverpool it's rained every single day, but in Sunderland.
No, I feel like we get like some nice sunny weather up here.
And you're by the water as well.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. And like where my flat is, like it's got like there's like a little quarry out the back that's like a little park, and it looks onto that. Like and that's quite nice. I mean, there's some you see some things going on in that quarry that other than that, it's not really nuts.
What's the biggest difference between people in Sunderland and Liverpool? What's the biggest difference you've seen?
I don't know. I think they're just. It's definitely quieter. It's definitely quieter up here. Like I don't know. I think everyone's like. I think Liverpool, like Scousers, are just like a million miles an hour. Like even just the way they talk and the way their minds work. Up here, everything's just like. I don't know. I feel like it reminds me a bit of Australia here. Like the
Really?
smaller towns. Like it's just like a bit like slower pace. And the beaches here are actually like pretty nice, like the coastline. Like it's like the drive to TFT is like unbelievable, especially when the weather's nice. So it's good up here.
I know that you don't. I need to come and visit you. To be honest, it's been too long. When was
No,
the last time I
definitely.
actually saw you? Was that the last time? Was it when you were in Liverpool? I think it might have been. You know,
Was
when
it?
we went and met up for a Starbucks. I think that was the last time.
When was that?
A long time ago. Too long ago.
Yeah. Oh, I feel. I don't know.
I don't think I've
I feel
seen
like
you
I've
since you
seen.
fought in America. I don't think I've seen you.
No, because I've just been up here. I think. I don't know.
Sunderland's a
I
bit
don't know.
awkward to get to as well. It's like it's not
Yeah.
Newcastle. Newcastle's a lot easier, but then Sunderland's a bit more like their own
Yeah.
thing.
You can get trains from Leeds though. Mate. You got no excuse.
Yeah, no excuse. I know that you don't like to think too far ahead, but it is your ultimate goal to become an MMA world champion.
Yeah.
We've got Adesanya versus Pereira fighting next weekend. Two people who I can imagine. I don't know whether idolize is the right word, but their path to what they've done, I think, is something that you'd like to emulate. How
Yeah.
much do you take away from what they've achieved in kickboxing and then how they've translated it into moving into MMA?
Um, I think like Pereira maybe not as much because I wouldn't say his style is like mine. Adesanya more so. I used to like. I definitely would say like when I was like I've studied Adesanya heaps and even his career and I used to just want to get loads of fights in because that's what he did, loads of kickboxing fights. But I don't know how he got so many kickboxing fights in, to be honest. Like that. Um, but yeah, I think what Adesanya's done, it's I don't know. I think I think he just got that experience. He just believed in himself, and then he stuck to his tools. He stuck to his game plan. I mean, I think he's better than Pereira. I think like a similar thing. When he fought Pereira, it's similar to my Steve Walker fight. He was winning the fight and doing really well, and then he got caught and got knocked out. And that's sort of like the story of the fight now that he got knocked out. But then from there he went on to in 2 years later to become UFC champion. So I think there's loads to take from that. Really, I think yeah.
Who
I
do you
think
think's going to take it? I think it's going to be a really close fight. To be honest, I don't think it's going to be an easy walk in the park.
no, I don't know. It's I don't know. It's similar to like a Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder type of fight. I
I
feel
hope
like
so.
it.
I've got a feeling it's got the potential to be super super boring. To be honest, I
I
hope
don't
I'm
know.
wrong.
I feel like Pereira's going to come at him though, because he's not going to. I think it's only boring when like Yoel Romero or look at when Adesanya the first Whitaker fight. I don't know. Is it?
Masterclass.
Yeah, I
I
think.
think Adesanya's at that point where Anderson Silva was when he was in his title reign, where he was just so dominant, and people were
Yeah,
just so sick and tired of seeing him winning. Because at the end of the day, you touched up on like the Yoel Romero fight and all that sort of stuff. It's not on Adesanya to be the enforcer in these fights. He's cemented
mm,
himself as one of the greats. He's had such a long title defense run that you know they've got to bring it to him as well. It's not just a case
Yeah.
of he's got to bring it on. Like it's on the challenger to come and also prove that he is the best fighter, and he's trying to prove to the world that he's the champion. So I feel like he gets a bit of undeserved stick when it comes to people stating him for being boring and all that sort of shite.
I think though that
all these people don't even fight, so
it's true. But I think the reason that his entertainment value gets questioned and how entertaining his fights are is because he talks about legacy, and he talks about in the week in the lead up to the fight, he's talking about wanting to put on a show and gonna make it look easy, which he makes it look easy, to be fair, but he doesn't and he talks about knocking them out and creating a legacy that's the greatest of all time. So when you're talking about those things for yourself, you are going to get scrutinized a little bit more, because people are going to be debating whether you are creating a legacy. But if you're having boring fights, people are going to be saying, well, you're not creating that legacy necessarily. So I think that's what the problem is.
I think a lot of people were a bit disappointed with him in his last fight, because I feel like he held back on the trigger a little bit against Cannonier.
Yeah, which I was surprised at, because I feel like Cannonier just looks really stiff. Obviously he probably hits hard, but yeah, I don't know. Who knows what's going? Who knows? It's hard to say what's going on, really.
Do you feel like a lot of people going into this fight are kind of brushing past Adesanya's achievements just because of the run that Pereira's come on, and a lot of people highlighting the fact that Pereira's managed to knock him out already?
I think it's that more so. I think if Pereira hadn't knocked him out, they'd be saying, well, he doesn't deserve a title shot, because he had that fight. This is going to be his fourth fight in the UFC. His first one was that one against the Greek fella, which he looked decent in, but he got taken down in the first round and held down. And then the guy gassed himself out trying to do that, and then he ended up getting knocked out. Second fight, which I only watched for the first time the other day, it was actually a very close fight, and he actually got hit with some big shots by the guy that he was fighting. I can't remember the guy's name. Bruno Fernandez.
If I can, Bruno Fernandez. No, if I can remember that fight correctly, he did okay in the grappling exchanges, though, which is one of the biggest. Well, that's kind of the biggest question that people only have about Pereira is, he's not got a long MMA career. He's not grappled for a long time. That's like the thing that people will maybe point to as to maybe Adesanya's method of victory. It's interesting because you just don't know what Adesanya is going to do. Like, is Adesanya going to stand there and try and prove a point that he's the better striker, or do you think that the sensible option for him to win this fight is to just try and grapple him and take him down?
But we haven't seen that side of Adesanya, and I don't even know does he train like that? Like, does he?
Surely he is. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I think it would also kind of be, imagine an Adesanya submission victory.
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't know if he trained like is his like a lot of his stuff defensive stuff, grappling that he does, and then I don't know if he's been like because there's a difference between, because I feel like their gym is a very strike heavy gym.
It is,
and I don't know if
they've got good wrestlers though.
They've got a good wrestling coach. But has he been work? I don't know what they be. Do they just work defensive stuff? Because, like, say Brad Riddell fighting that Fiziev, he didn't. He was getting like outstruck a bit, and he didn't look to grapple. He just looked to strike. What about Hooker fighting Arnold Allen?
True.
He was just getting pinged all over, and he didn't even look to grapple offensively.
I just feel like you never know. Like, if you look at, for example, Ngannou's fight against Cyril Gane, No one expected that performance. Everyone just, and especially you would have thought with 2 fucked up knees that you'd probably avoid the wrestling, but
But
he
he trains at
he trains at
you know, he
extremely
trains,
tall.
yeah, which I imagine, like, I don't know the ins and outs of that team, but I imagine they've got a, you know, they've a bit more grappling heavy than probably City Kickboxing are.
Mm.
I just can't see Adesanya coming out and grappling. I don't know.
I
I feel
hope it's just 2 people, Adesanya and Pereira, just absolutely going toe to toe. I think that's like what everyone wants to see.
I know, but I think that's a dangerous game to play with Pereira, because the 4-ounce gloves play into his favor even more.
Pereira hits hard.
Especially that it's yeah, and he's massive as well. Like, he's going to have a massive weight advantage on Adesanya. I think what Adesanya's got to try and do is get it into the later rounds. So I think what you probably will end up seeing is, like, I've not really thought about it, but just thinking about it now is probably being Adesanya being quite defensive. Right, maybe he might clinch up, like might try and clinch up on the fence or something like that, and just try and drag him into the later rounds, because we haven't seen Pereira there, and he did look, you know, like, he didn't look great against that Brazilian that he fought, who wasn't actually a grappler, he was a striker, and he was, you know, he didn't look great against him, and he was getting hit with some shots. So,
Well, touching back on yourself, bro, how long would you like it to be until you have your first MMA fight? Have you put much thought into that, or?
yeah, like, I think so. After this fight, win the world title, and then next year, early next year, make MMA debut, because I think it's like next year I'll be 28, so it's not like super old, but it's like it's getting to the point where I'm going, okay, well, I need to start, like, getting a move on with this now. And I don't know, I feel like
The time is right.
yeah, the time's right. Like, ideally, what my plan originally was going to be was to have MMA debut this year, but then after I got knocked out, I sort of, you know, so I wanted to have that fight in July, and then make my MMA debut in October on the show run by TFT up here called Rise and Conquer, which is a really good show. And but then obviously the timing just wasn't right, because although I didn't have any concussion symptoms, I wanted to be smart, so I didn't spar for about 9 weeks after that, and then it just wouldn't have given me enough time to get ready for an MMA debut. But the good thing that it just allowed me to, for about 3 months, I was just focused on MMA training and doing that. And I feel like I've just come on loads with that now. So I think have this fight end in November, then get back into the MMA training, and then I think early next year I'll be in a good spot to have the debut.
Any plans to go back home? It's been a while since you went back home.
Yeah. Just for Christmas, I'm going to go for 3 weeks now. So.
Oh, nice. Are you going to go after the fight?
Yeah, I'm going to go like 20th of December or something like that, and then 3 weeks. Obviously, I'll still get some training in. Just see my family, because I haven't seen them for over a year. Catch up with friends, get a good tan, and then come home and just get back into the MMA training.
Christmas
properly.
on the beach.
Yeah, Christmas on the beach. I don't know. I think last year was a bit rainy over Christmas, but because there's like cycles of weather in Australia. So there's like El Nino, which is like I can't remember how many. It's like 4 year periods. It'll be like 4 years of like drought, and then La Nina, which is like the wet time. It's like 4 years of like colder weather and rain. But I think it's La Nina now, so it has been raining a bit more, but
La
we'll see.
Nina sounds like a fucking mad word to use. Doesn't sound Aussie at all. Sounds Spanish.
But I think it's like not, because I think it's like, I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, be like a global type of thing.
Yeah,
As
I think,
opposed, yeah, okay.
and they're like, yeah, La Nina, mate, yeah, the Sheila, because it just means like El Nino's like boy, and then La Nina's girl or something like that. So I don't know. I don't know why that is what it is, but
Geography with Charles Joyner.
yeah, a bit of info. We've got facets to the game.
Well, I mean, have you got any lasting words that you'd like to leave to the fans watching?
Lasting words.
What's your prediction for the fight? For the Matteo Ferroni fight?
Yeah. So, well, I think
I'm gonna
just from what
knock
I've
him out.
seen, yeah, I think. Well, I think from what I've seen, I think I'll. He looks so. He's someone that he's got like a lot of tools and like flashy tools, but whether they're effective tools is a different question. Like, you can throw a spinning, you can throw a wheel kick, but if you're not landing the wheel kick, if you're not setting it up, like it might look good and it might be entertaining to your casual fan, but whether it's effective is another story. Now, I feel like I probably don't have as many tools, but I feel like the tools that I do have, I use them well. I know how to use them, and they're effective, and they fit into my game, and they drag people in the deep waters. They empty the gas tank and then open people up for the finish. So I think what will probably how I'm seeing it coming is that I'm going to be very patient the first round, draw out his attacks, and I think I'll just drag him into deep waters, and third or fourth rounds, I think he'll have crumbled by then, and then I'll get the finish. And I think realistically, like, I'm going to have to finish him. I don't think, if it goes to decision, I'm not sure if I'll get a decision, even if I 50-45 it, I don't think I'll get the decision. So that's my mentality for it. So there'll definitely be an urgency to finish him towards the later rounds, but I'm going to be patient with that urgency, if that makes sense.
I think so. I think you'll take his head clean off, but I'm your mate, so there
Yeah.
might be a bit of bias involved. Do you know what you should do? You should walk out in like an Italian flag or wear some Italian shorts.
Yeah, and just turn the crowd.
Yeah.
They probably just think I'm just taking the piss. But
Yeah,
to be fair, like I get messages from people like talking shit in Italian. I don't know, because it's like it's either in Italian or it's like a bad translation, so it just makes me laugh. Like it's not that
Do you give
threatening.
it back? Do you give it back?
Nah, I just ignore it normally. But then like when I'm there, when I was there last time, like, everyone was just like super friendly, like asking for photos and stuff like that. So
Vittori was there, wasn't he, for the weigh-in last time? Did you get to
yeah,
see
yeah. Vittoria is he's yeah, he's a lot more chilled than I thought than he comes across in the UFC. But he's
Well, go on. Sorry, I interrupted you then.
no, I was just gonna say. Yeah, I was just gonna say he's obviously he's quite famous in Italy as well. So I mean, it's weird. Like it was like a big show, and I was getting like secondhand fame off it for just, I don't know. I honestly don't know why he's so famous, but yeah.
Well, he'll be famous in Australia for getting knocked out in 3 weeks'
Yeah,
time. Where can
that's it.
people watch the fight? Is it going to be on DAZN again?
Yeah, so this was a problem last time. It was on design, but I think it was only being streamed in Italy and Spain, or something like that. So
This is where I need
I
like a
don't know.
VPN sponsor. Get this VPN and you'll be sweet.
Yeah, NordVPN or something like that. But I don't know, I'm sure there'll be a stream or something, like, or I could get someone to, go live on Instagram or something. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. But DAZN, it's on DAZN. The last one they said it was just going to be streamed in Italy and Spain. But we'll see. They might be. I mean, it is big, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's some streams online popping about.
Well, Charles Joyner, my very, very good friend, he's got the biggest fight of his career coming up in 3 weeks' time against Matteo Ferroni, live from Rome. It's going to be a great fight. Make sure you tune in. Make sure you follow Charles on social media. I'll make sure that I post all of his links in the bio. But yeah, Charles, thank you for coming on, brother.
Always a pleasure, mate.
Peace.